First of all, the disclaimer on this is that it's pretty impossible to prove. These myths go back into prehistory, and by definition, we don't have a written record from that time. There's a theory that Anat from the Canaanite pantheon, Athena from the Greek pantheon, and Kali from the Hindu pantheon share the same root myth somewhere along the way. Anat, not many people have heard of Anat, but she's part of the Canaanite pantheon, the Ugaritic pantheon. Most people who went to Sunday school have heard of her male counterpart, and that is Baal. In the Old Testament, Elijah defeats the prophets of Baal. Anat is sister wife to Baal in the Canaanite pantheon. Anat is the goddess of war and also fertility. There's one story in particular of Anat that makes people think that she's related to Kali, where Anat invites all of the enemies of her brother Baal to this feast, and she locks the doors and she unalives all of them until she's wading in blood up to her waist. And then she takes their heads and she makes a belt out of their skulls as trophies. There are stories of Kali doing something very similar, of going on these extremely violent rampages and taking the heads of her enemies and turning them into a belt as trophies. It seems possible that Kali and Anat could have come from the same root myth, and that they were spread across continents by migration and just time. Athena is also believed to be a distant version or iteration of this same root myth, or possibly one of these other two goddesses. Athena is the female aspect of war in the Greek pantheon. She carries Medusa's head on her shield. I could probably do a whole separate video on Medusa and like what I've found researching her. That's the Cliff Notes version of what I discussed with my professor. Some historians believe that Athena, Anat, and Kali go back to the same root myth.